Hey everyone, my name is Josh, and in today's video, I'll be showing you how to increase your credit score in the best and fastest way possible. Considering that your credit score will determine things such as getting a lower interest rate on your loans and loans that you can even qualify for, this is pretty important. You see, the difference between a low credit score and a high credit score can cost or save you thousands of dollars on something like your mortgage. So before I get into what you can do to boost your score, we must first discuss the 5 distinct ways in which your score is composed of. The first way, and the biggest one, weighed in at 35%, is your payment history. This, as I just said, will have the single biggest impact on your credit score. It's pretty simple. Pay off all your bills on time and avoid late payments at all costs. In order to do this, you can either give yourself a friendly reminder on your personal calendar, tracking when all of your bills are due, or even easier, setting up autopay in your account. What I love about autopay is you don't have to worry about life getting in the way and forgetting to pay off your bills in time. What I personally do is each time I make a purchase with a credit card, I go in and immediately pay off that transaction. This way, I don't forget to pay it down the road, while at the same time, taking advantage of the cashback perks of the card. The second way in which your credit score is weighted on is your credit utilization at 30%. This basically just means the portion of your credit limit that you're using at any particular time. To make things simple, if you have a $1,000 credit limit across all credit cards and your outstanding balance is $1,000, then you're using 100% of your credit. Now, a good rule of thumb is to keep your total outstanding balance at 30% maximum. However, I would actually recommend keeping it much lower, aiming for less than 5%. One tip to do this would be to perhaps ask for a credit limit increase, which for most companies can be done online. If you're unable to get a credit limit increase with your current credit card, or the increase isn't large enough, you can also consider applying for another credit card. If you apply for a new credit card and are accepted, you'll have another line of credit, which should in turn decrease your credit utilization. So, let's say that with your previous credit card, you had a $1,000 credit limit, and with this new credit card, you'll have an additional $1,000. You'll now have double the credit. So if you typically had outstanding balances of around $200 or 20%, your credit utilization will now be only 10%. Now, one thing to consider here when applying for new credit cards is that when you do so, you'll receive what's called a hard inquiry. This is what brings us to our third way in which your credit score is weighed, and that is, you guessed it, new credit inquiries. Of course, you may have heard about 2 types of inquiries you can receive, one being a hard one and the other being a soft one. An example of a soft inquiry would be something like checking your own credit score or checking to see if you're pre-approved for another credit card. These inquiries will have no impact whatsoever on your credit score. However, the hard inquiries, although unavoidable at times, are the ones that you'll mostly want to avoid. These will take place when you apply for a new credit card, an auto loan, a mortgage, or other forms of new credit. Being that new credit inquiries only have around a 10% effect on your score, they won't completely break you, but I would still try to avoid applying for multiple lines of new credit within a short period of time. What this will do, typically, is tell banks that you need this extra credit because you may be facing some type of financial difficulty and therefore may be a bigger risk. So although applying for a new credit card will help your credit utilization, which makes up for a bigger portion of your score, just know that it can have a smaller negative impact as well. Okay, so moving right along to the fourth way in how your credit is weighted, and that's your overall credit file. According to Experian, around 62 million Americans have thin credit files, which basically means they don't have enough credit history on their report. Because of this, it's more difficult or even impossible for them to get approved for things such as a mortgage, auto loan, or other credit line products. And if they are approved, they'll be paying a much higher interest rate than those with good credit scores. Thankfully, there is a service that can help you with this, and that's by using Experian Boost. And no, this video is not being sponsored by them. With Experian Boost, you'll basically have financial data that isn't usually collected on your credit report, such as your utility payments, and this information is then included in calculating your Experian FICO credit score. At the moment, this service is completely free to use, and Experian says at least that the average user who receives a boost improved their FICO score by 12 points. Of course, some users may not see improved scores at all, but you really don't have much to lose. Personally, I have not used the service, but I am curious for those that have. Let me know in the comment section below what your experience was with it. With that said, having a thin credit file is mostly associated with younger people, which leads me to the fifth way in which your credit score is determined, and that's on your LinkedIn credit history. This basically comes down to how long you've had your oldest line of credit open for. This is something that also only has a moderate impact on your score, 15% to be exact, but it's still pretty important considering it shows lenders how much experience you've had in handling credit. Okay, so now that we have the ways in which your FICO score is figured, let's move right along with some tips on how you can use these factors to improve your score. First off, it's incredibly important that you pay off every single bill on time. Do not, under any circumstances, be late. As I said earlier in this video, whether it's writing due dates down in a calendar or setting up auto pay, do what you gotta do, but no matter what, do not be late. Even though there's a lot of things that we can't control, such as whether or not we're approved for certain credit cards, this is one thing that we can control. Do not, under any circumstances, make a late payment. Even if you run into an unfortunate situation where you're not able to pay off the entire bill, which I always recommend doing, at the very least, make sure to pay off the minimum balance on time. Really though, I always recommend paying your bill off in full, just so you can take full advantage of the benefits of these cards, such as the cashback perks, while at the same time, not getting any of the negative effects, such as paying interest. Secondly, as I also mentioned earlier in this video, keep your credit utilization rate as low as you possibly can. This may mean that you need to ask for a credit line increase, apply for a second credit card, or even have someone like your parents add you as an authorized user on their account. By doing this, if they have a low credit utilization rate, this will not only help you with your credit utilization, but it will also increase your length of credit history. This is something that I always recommend parents to do for their kids to get them off the ground in their credit building journey. Now, for a lot of people trying to build their credit score, it isn't always easiest to get even accepted for some of these credit cards. How are you expected to build your credit score if credit cards aren't even willing to extend you a line of credit? Well, that's where secured credit cards come into play. A secured credit card is basically where you'll initially be putting down a cash deposit upfront, which will act as collateral on the account. This is so whoever issues the card will have some type of security just in case the card holder is unable to make payments. Since you may not have a credit history or even have a lower credit score, you may be seen as a higher risk by some of these banks and therefore may need to start building your credit with one of these secured cards. In this video, I won't get too much into the secured cards available, but you can start by looking at the Discover It secured credit card or the Capital One secured MasterCard. After using one of these cards for around 1 year, you may be able to boost your score high enough to apply for an unsecured card. Then, even after being accepted for another card, it's best still to keep this one open, just because, remember, you'll be able to keep your overall credit line higher, your credit utilization lower, and your oldest credit line for longer. So, if I was going to sum up this video in one sentence, if you want to build your credit score in the fastest way possible, number one, pay off all your bills in time, and secondly, improve your credit utilization rate. If you can achieve these two things, especially paying off your bills in time, you'll definitely continue to see your score climb over time. Finally, obviously, you'll want to have a good way of tracking where your score is each and every month, and that's by getting a free credit report. To do this, you can pull one free copy of your credit report from each of the 3 major national credit bureaus every single year, which include Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion from annualcreditreport.com. You can also get more frequent updates for free by using sites like CreditWise, which will monitor your credit and help you discover some of the key factors that impact your credit score. The one thing that I will say is to never ever pay for a credit report, considering that you can get these things at no charge at all. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so and it's a great support to me. Also, if you'd like to receive 2 free socks from Webull, valued up to $1,850 each after depositing $100, or 1 free stock from Robinhood just for signing up and linking your bank account. Please feel free to claim those free stocks by clicking the link in the description box below. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.